Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
The clouds are beginning to form at Indianapolis in round 6 of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup. We have rain forecast for the first time in this series as we head into the final 3 rounds of this season 12 of the championship. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. I am joined alongside by Aaron Smith tonight, as well as Joshua Wilkie, who is bringing you this stream on Apex Racing TV. And Josh, it's going to be a fun one tonight when it comes to this weather elements. We're expecting 2 dry races, the heats, and then 2 wet races for the B final and the A final.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting around here. I know last week we were kind of talking about how the dislike for this track, and I think that's probably fairly unanimous with many drivers out there, and iRacing service provider or serving service. I guess what I'm looking for credentials. People who are on iRacing don't really like this track so much. I always like to try to make tracks that I don't like very much, kind of my favorite tracks in the end, but this hasn't really been able to do it for me. It's a little bit flat. You can never really find a flow around here, and I think it's just going to be really difficult in the rain today. For sure there, Sam.
I think it absolutely will be. From what I've heard, the fact that it's a flat track as well is really going to suffer when it comes to the rain. I don't think it's going to drain particularly well, and there's not going to be camber for the drivers to use. Instead, it is going to be a big pain. But right now, it's very sunny, and it feels like it's not going to get wet, but it almost certainly will do. We've got a 100% chance of rain, at least according to iRacing, 100% coverage of rain in about an hour's time in the sim, which, like I said, will be at the start of the B final. We are currently in the early stages of the pro qualifying. We've had the amateurs set their laps and the pro-ams, and now the pros are out on circuit. It's currently Miroslav Svoboda taking another pole. I think that's now 5 out of 6 in the pro-ams. Pretty incredible for him. But Pascal Costa returning after missing a couple of rounds so far this season. He's up there in 2nd place, but those pro times will change that leaderboard significantly over the next 8 minutes.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a difficult one out here, I think, for sure. It's not easy to find time around here. Again, just so flat, so hard to see your apexes, and you just really have to do a lot of laps around here and get everything kind of muscle memory down. You need to know when to turn in, when to hit that brake, and when to get on the power. And of course, with these P-Cup cars, man, they are not easy to get slowed down. They are not easy to get moving again, and it's going to be difficult out there for sure, I think. I'm noticing here we got a couple drivers from some other series that I actually do as well, and the likes of Bjorkland, and I believe it's Marshall as well there. And man, they do pretty good on all kinds of machinery. We've been seeing Bjorklund lately too, really getting pointy out there in the last couple races, so I'm expecting to see some fireworks from him again today as well.
I think Bjorklund's done quite a bit of radical racing over the years,
yep.
So yeah, very accomplished in those cars. This man is very accomplished in the Porsche cars. Despotakis currently in 8th place. It's now Lazarus at the top of the standings ahead of Golestad. Golestad, of course, was in great form last time out at Sebring, finished 2nd place in the end. He'll be looking to repeat that form for tonight. But let's have a look at the championship standings, shall we? Because Dalton Zavadil is at the top of the championship. That's the fiercely forward driver we're currently focusing on. And even when the drop scores get applied, he has got a very good lead in the championship. Had a poor round 1 to the season, did Dalton, but since then he has really racked up the points. It's been very tricky to beat at all, and it means that he's got quite a comfortable lead at the moment over Philip Hammer, who of course was the champion 2 seasons ago. Zavadil, the defending champion. So we'll see if the American can deal well with the wet today. If he can, he will be one step closer to the title in the Pro-Ams as it stands. Of course, we were talking about Miroslav Svoboda having a fantastic qualifying record so far this season. His race record isn't bad either, and it's got him a solid 27-point advantage over Misha Berger. That will be tough to catch because Svoboda's been very consistent, so his drop score is very good. So he can afford one bad round from these remaining 3 and still get away with it. Andrews and Marshall and Lane still giving themselves a small chance. And in the amateurs, as it stands, we currently have Adam Griefson, who is at the top of the standings. Very consistent. Adam has been 2nd place in the AMS for the last 3 rounds in a row. He's only just ahead of Helder Sequeira. Steve Clays, who had a fantastic points haul last time out at Sebring, brought himself right back into the championship contention. Everyone else probably a little bit too far off now to make a challenge. And in the teams championship, we currently have Cube Controls, Reports and Cossa currently at the top, albeit their gap has fallen slightly. Walk Racing Federation now very close, only 10 points the gap between the two of them. Does look like it's going to be a 2-horse race between those 2 teams. See who can claim the championship. And I think we can introduce Aaron Smith as well. Sorry, Joshua, you did very well.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'll say bye to everybody here, guys, and thanks for letting me fill in. I think that was the first time I got to speak on Apex Racing TV, so yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity there, guys, and you can take her away.
Yeah, that was Joshua, who does all the hard work, frankly, when it comes to these broadcasts. Broadcasting much trickier than the commentary. I can testify to that. But Aaron, how are you feeling about this one? It's going to rain. It's going to rain. It should be fun.
Yeah, throwing a bit of wet weather into there. I don't think these guys have experienced that in the Porsche Cup cars at all this season, not just in the Porsche Cup season we're doing now, but I don't think in officials we've seen too much rain either, so should be a little bit scary territory, especially for those guys further at the back who don't have as much experience and are maybe a little bit more, unnervy when it comes to these cars in the dry, let alone the wet. It's really, really going to spice things up. My journey here was interesting, by the way. Probably doing about the same speeds that these Porsche Cup cars are doing. And that's the end I'll say of that. But currently, Lazarus, once again, finding the form that he's kind of missed pretty much ever since the opening round of the season so far in qualifying. Bit unfortunate that we haven't seen too much of him. He got that pole and nearly won at Road Atlanta. And then I think after that crushing defeat after contact with Zavadil, who's just pipped him, it's kind of just let his momentum swing the other way a little bit. But at least today, he's looking fairly quick.
He's looking very much on the money. Zavadil was lacking a little bit. He's been gradually moving his way up the standings, but he is now on pole position. Not by a big margin. We have seen him dominate pole position on a couple of occasions this season. 3 poles in 5 races for Zavadil. It looks like he might well move on to 4 out of 6. Colby Warren heading down into turn 1. This is going to be his last lap, and into this very tight turn 1. They've made it tighter over the years, and then through the left, and then through the very long right. This will be an absolute pain in the wet later on. And then of course that nothing chicane. It used to go to the right and then swooping around to the left, which actually was the best part of the circuit, Aaron, and they got rid of it.
I mean, it's debatable if there was a best part of this circuit to begin with.
Sure.
It's probably the banking, to be honest. Unfortunately, they decided,
you're probably right
no,
there.
safety. Oh, no. Whatever. It's I didn't mind that infield section that you're on about. It was all right, but I definitely feel this track was always just a bit of a meh for me, especially on the old Formula 1 games, as I'm sure some of you watching are fairly experienced at that as well. You know, F1 Championship Edition, F1 Career Challenge, and any other old F1 gamers. That's a bit deep from Colby Warren, and
I
that's
think
going
he hit
to...
the wall.
Yeah, I think I heard a donk as well, but it did look like he just went a bit too deep into turn 12 anyway. A bit unfortunate down there in 12. Kind of disappointing there for the American, but let's hope he can do better in his race. And so we can see here, he did tap the wall, but I'm not sure that would have made him go that deep, to be honest. But I could be wrong. He's probably a better driver in these Porsche Cup cars than I am, so...
Well, it would have cost him a 0x as well, which would have been validated as lap time. So even had he made the corner, he would have had no opportunity to improve. Philip Hammer on his last lap now. This is high stakes for him. He needs to start winning, does Philip Hammer, and he's very good at doing that. But this season, he's really maximised his points, just has never quite been the fastest driver out there. But he really cannot complain about his results. He really has maximised every single one of them, consistently finished on the podium. But if you're going to beat a driver like Dalton Zavadil, you have to start beating him properly in races. And so far this season, he has been beaten by Zavadil in 4 out of 5 of the meeting. So this is an important lap for him, but looking at the sector times, it's not particularly good, and he does go back to the pits. He wasn't saying any personal bests. The only other drivers out there are Lazarus and Pedersen. I don't think Lazarus will even get to the line, but Pedersen I think will do, and we'll be able to see if he is able to improve.
Well, we can see as Ben Pedersen does come across the line.
Oh, he improved by 7,000.
Yeah, I was going to say he did improve, but just not enough, unfortunately. A tiny bit more and he would have gotten Farrier, but just maybe one little braking zone missed there. And he's ended up in 9th, which I believe puts him in this first heat in 5th.
So I'm constantly looking at the weather forecast, and now on the radar we have got like a big band of turquoise weather heading towards the circuit. No rain in this race 1, we can confirm that one, but for race 2 it looks like it's probably going to rain about midway through heat 2, so keep tuned on that. This is going to be a fun race, everyone. But heat 1 is just going to be a plain 10-minute race. Shouldn't be too many fireworks. Zavadil on pole ahead of the informed Golestad. Despotakis third place in the championship. He's still got a chance at the title. He needs to have a big round though tonight. Svoboda, another great qualifying for him, up in 4th. There's Pedersen, Marshall, Crawford, Tyler, Kokok, Velasquez. He needs a big round as well. He's down to 5th place in the championship, I believe now. Needs to absolutely ace these final 3 rounds to get anywhere near the title. Bruazeg in 11th. Then it's Steve Clays, not quite able to keep up his form from Sebring when he was on absolute fire. There's Stoll, Skovic in his second race in the series, Vedal, Lane, Hapacha, and Singendonk rounding at the 18 cars.
I think this should be a good opening race. It's not easy at all to overtake here at the Indy Road circuit, and of course with the new layout, I say new, it's fairly old at this point, it's even harder. There's not really that much of a run going into turn 1 on this first lap, and because of the 10 million chicanes that are here, it doesn't give you enough space to try and get a run on your opponent. So I think we're going to be seeing some dive bombs, maybe some desperate moves, especially towards the end of this one. And so once the wet weather does come in over the course of today, that's when we're going to see probably even more action as the weather spices up. Should be a fun one, like you said, Sam.
Should be very fun. But let's get the normal racing done. It's a long run down to turn 1. Can Zavadil hold on to it away we launch at Indianapolis. It is a good start for our pole sitter, but he's a little bit vulnerable. Goddard's almost got his car just a little bit alongside. He's almost got his car in front, in fact, as they head into turn 1. Goddard with his best chance of the race to take the lead here. Zavadil almost covers him off, and Goddard takes the lead. That is a big surprise right there, but it was a fantastic launch from him, and the run down into turn 1 was long enough for him to take advantage. Dispatak is trying to get underneath, but Zavadil able to cut his losses and slot into second.
That was really opportunistic from Goddard. That was great. And once you get the inside line into turn 1, that's pretty much it. Around the outside, it's very, very tricky to hold that line. And Zavadil, unfortunately, was not able to on this occasion. Zabota got a pretty awful start as well. He's down 2 places. It's now Gordon Marshall leading in the Pro-Ams. It's Tobias Stoll who leads in the AMs. And Hapacha already up 4 places. Brusek down 6. So a lot of shimmy-shaying in the grid so far. Lane and Vidal going wheel to wheel. That's for 10th place at the moment. Lane up 6 places. He's had an absolute flyer. Velasquez now getting past Stoll and Hapacha, interestingly enough. So now it's Velasquez who leads in the AMs as we head into turn 12 for the first time. Bit of contact there between, I believe that's Hapacha, and maybe that was Clays who he bonked on the outside, who's now lost a few places. Clays, like you said, Sam, has had a bit of a tricky qualifying, and now in this race is down 3 places. It's really not going well for the Belgian at all, but it's Velasquez who leads, but Stoll is going to have something to say about that as we head onto the straight for the second time, and he should be getting the slipstream of the car ahead. Stoll does move ahead, but now he has to watch out for Hapacha as down the inside goes the Italian on Velasquez, and Stoll's going to be happy to see that, putting a car between himself. Stoll's going to be happy to see that, putting a car between himself and Velasquez, as there's even more movers in the midfield between Crawford, Tyler and Sabota.
Yeah, I think Crawford's made up that position, but now they're alongside through the chicane, which is a terrible thing to do. It's barely wide enough for one car, is that section, and I think taking advantage of that is that Coco getting past all of them, I think it was. So fantastic work there from Frederick, up 2 places from his race start. Lani, I believe, had a qualifying ban, so he started at the back and is quickly making his way back through the order. As we've got a spinner, actually, Steve Clay's had another off. We're going to get a replay of what happened to Coco, and really paced himself through here. And yeah, they compromised their run. That was Tyler and Crawford, and he went through the middle.
Yeah, easy as you like. It's not really possible to go side by side through that chicane very easily, as you all saw. And Lane, interestingly, has had his own issues, as he's just lost, I believe, 2 places to Vidal and Stoll. And, well, he had a pretty good start, but that's going to hinder his progress a little bit, as he's now down to 12th, unfortunately. And Gordon Marshall still leading the way and doing very, very well in these opening few laps in 5th place in a Pro-Am. Here's what happened to Crawford heading into turn 12. I believe it's Lane. Oh, yeah. I don't even think he went for it. I just think he completely misjudged that.
Lane trying to get back underneath, and he's always spinning around. So, and now he's got his teammate on the inside. Hapacha steals that one, and Lane, from starting at the back, made his way through, and now he's falling backwards again. He's not even in the advancing spots. It's top 12, get through into the A final. He might drop another place if he's not careful. Lane really struggling, and it's Velasquez. I mean, it's such competitive drivers as Marshall, actually. And Hapacha, I think maybe has got a slowdown because he's now letting drivers pass this awful racing at the moment for North Sim Racing. Both losing time hand over fist, as Pedersen and Marshall are still alongside for 4th position. And it looks like Marshall did lose out to Pedersen. So Marshall initially got past Pedersen. It seems like Pedersen's got back past. They are teammates, and Sabota nearly got past Marshall as well.
Yeah, that was really, really awkward between the pair of them. And again, was it some team orders that maybe went wrong? And bear in mind, they've got Sabota really, really close behind, so they don't want to let him through at all. But here's what happened to Steve Clays. Had a bit of a difficult start to this one already. And was there contact there, or did he just lose it all by himself? I couldn't quite tell from that camera angle. It's very tricky to lose these cars actually under braking in a straight line is kind of when you start turning in there. Yeah, just completely by himself. That's disappointing for a man who did so well last week, and is now well right at the back of the field, and probably unlikely to make the top 12 places. Still not impossible, but with a difficult track to overtake as well. Speaking of, he's going to try go for it up the inside of Borusek and spins again at the same corner. And, well, that's really disappointing for the Belgian. And, well, if it was impossible for him to get through now, it's even impossible now that he's now 3 seconds behind Borusek.
Yeah, someone needs to tell Steve that the rain hasn't arrived yet. You need to be keeping it in the straight line. You've got no excuses at this point. So yeah, having a real tough time of it at the moment is the Belgian driver, of course, needed a good round in order to keep his championship charge going. Certainly not over right now. And yeah, with the rain that is coming later on, it could still change completely on its head, potentially. Goddestad is dominating this race, 9/10 of a second. This is glorious to see. I'm a big, of course we are, you know, not biased or whatever, but I am a big Joe Vega Goddestad fan because he's been a part of the series season for so long. Back in 2020, I think, was when he made his debut in this championship. Coming up to 5 years of him being involved, and he's won a lot of races over the years. I think he may have even won a title as well back in season 4, and occasionally just demonstrates once or twice a season that he can absolutely beat anyone, and that's what he's doing. He is outpacing Dalton Zavadil at the moment, and has got another couple of laps to survive for a first race win of the season.
Yep, don't want to talk too much about it just in case we end up jinxing the man, but he does look very much in control right now, and it looks to be set on another victory, and especially the difficult nature of this track when it comes to overtaking. 6/10 ahead of Zavadil should be fairly easy goings from now until the end of the race, and we'll just let him get on with it. Meanwhile, Gordon Marshall has fallen back from his teammate ever so slightly into the clutches now of Svoboda. And this should be quite a good battle for the lead of the Pro-Am, as Gordon Marshall has really stepped up in the last few rounds. He was a bit silent in the early stages of the season, but I've been really impressed with him the last few rounds, and especially now that he's beating Svoboda, who's been without a doubt one of the quickest, if not the quickest, Pro-Am so far this season, and is currently beating him, and, well, was momentarily fighting for 4th place, which could be a big chunk of points for a Pro-Am especially. And well, if he finishes 5th right now, I believe that will be 9th for the A final, I think, or that will be 10th, I don't know. My math skills are letting me down massively here. But either way, he will be putting himself in a very nice position come the A final.
Yeah, it'll be in 9th position for that A final, so yeah, we'll be looking good on that front. But yeah, that is what they're batting over right now, 9th or 11th on the grid for the A final, plus a few points between these guys. But Svoboda needs to think about the percentages. He has been faultless so far this season, as Svoboda really has not put a foot wrong. Didn't have an amazing Laguna Seca round, even that was one of the several rounds that he got pole position. But every other round he has finished on the podium when it comes to highest point scorers in the Pro-Ams as Svoboda, so looking to repeat that once again today. Kane Crawford we're watching now behind Coco, because Crawford lost that position earlier on when he was battling with George Tyler through the chicane in the first sector of the lap, and he hasn't been able to take it back ever since. He's got 1 lap to do it, and by the way, the lead is very close. It was for a moment down to 0.2 of a second. It's just opened up a little bit again, but Stan needs to watch his mirrors in the last half lap.
Yes, I think Zavadil might be putting on his big boy pants right now. Yep, I agree. They are getting extremely close between the pair of them. But it's just about where can Zavadil try and go for it. Oh, Goddestad's fallen under pressure, and that's going to allow the American to pull alongside. What can Dalton Zavadil do in these final few corners? Goddestad has the advantage of track position, but it's going to be a difficult exit for Goddestad. He's going to be stuck on the outside line going into these last few corners. He just needs to desperately hold on for his life, but Zavadil's gonna dive up the inside, desperately under braking. They're fighting, but it's completely fair between these two as they head into turn 13 now. Watch for Despotakis. He might try and pick up the pieces. It could be over for Dalton Zavadil, but we could get a run to the line as they come round the final corner onto the banking. Dalton is going to try his best, but it just won't be enough. It's Godestad who ends up winning in Heat 1. Zavadil a 10th behind, and Despotakis a 10th behind him. The top three covered by 0.2 of a second. That is absolutely crazy. I did not think Godestad had that after that mini spin coming out of the chicane, but he did extremely well to hold on to it. Marshall ended up winning in Pro-Am, and the last driver in P12, Lane, getting through there just about. But look at this. Amazing racing between these two. This is what we want to see. And we've cut to the next session. Damn.
Yeah, unfortunately we lose any access to the previous race on the live timing once we transfer. So, but that was incredible. And yeah, I really thought his tyres would just fries at the end there, Godestad, after that first spin, but he was able to keep fighting back. Quite incredible. So let's go into Heat 2. Now there is the risk, you can see the clouds in the sky. There's a risk of rain midway through this race, so watch out for that one. It probably, yeah, maybe in like the last couple of minutes, it might rain. It'll certainly be wet for the B final, but here we go. Lazarus on pole, Hammer, Costa, Farrier, Bjorkland top of the Pro-Ams. Greaveson, once again, top of the AMs. Big round this for Adam Greaveson, currently the championship leader in the AMs. And he has a good chance of some good points there. Won't go through the whole grid because there is a lot of them. Hemming and Pisco starting from the back. They've both got qualifying bands, so they'll be looking to charge up the order. But already the lights are coming on. Can Hammer repeat what the second place man did in race 1? Away we launch. Doesn't look like a great start for Hammer. If anything, it's more likely that he will lose a place than gain one because Lazarus has got a great start. Costa is following him in the slipstream, and Costa is able to cut off the inside line. Diego Farrier fancies passing the former champion as well on the outside, heading into turn 1. Hammer just about getting it back. A couple of drivers going deep. That's one of the Walk Racing drivers, Misha Berger, almost missing turn 1. And it is starting to rain already. It is starting to spit down with rain, and with 10 minutes to go, this track might get very wet before the checker flag is waved. As round goes Greaveson and Warren. That is a big change for our amateur championship leader.
Huge change for him, and of course Warren losing 10 places there in that spin. Maybe the track conditions are already starting to get a little bit slippery. I mean, when you're on slicks, I mean, you could spit on the track and you'd probably lose grip. As Thomas Verm there on board with him.
And Matt Strand is on wet tyres. Matt Strand is on wet tyres. He may have just pulled off a blinder.
Potentially. We really do need to see how the weather changes over these next 10 minutes. And I'm surprised he's the only driver who decided to do that, but we'll see if it pays off, and we'll see if any other drivers decide to come in. It does just look like spit for now. It looks fairly good for dry weather tyres, and Strand's going to be struggling in these opening few laps. But as long as he can hold on to it, and when the track does eventually soak up, he is going to be laughing. And, I mean, dare I say it, we could see a potential Pro-Am victory overall today. I'm just saying it could happen, but we'll bite our tongues on that for now and focus on the racing up at the front as Felvis. Oh, everyone's locking up into the first corner. The spray on the track is starting to get ever so slightly worse. And just focus on the times of Matt Strand. Just keep an eye on the gap. As here we go, might be a fight for the lead between Pascal Costa and Corey Lazarus. I can't imagine the amount of struggles these guys are feeling right now, and probably not feeling too happy with themselves that they might have made the wrong choice for tyres.
I think Strand is going to win this, but for now, Costa is getting very, very close. At the moment, the track, and Costa is past. Costa is past. He's really, I mean, at this point, it's just confidence. Like, at this point, the track isn't getting that much slower, I believe, but after about 2 laps of the rain, that's when it starts to get slower. And, well, is Strand already making his way? I mean, Strand's pace is good, but he needs to not get too ahead of himself, because if it keeps going like this, he might be 20 seconds a lap faster by the end of the race. So there's no rush whatsoever. I mean, I've raced these cars in a very similar event to this, And once it takes 4 laps and you could be losing 20 seconds a lap. So Strand is looking really good. 7 minutes to go. He's 10 seconds off the lead, but this is really tasty. Costa leads.
Oh, we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Strand is definitely losing time though for now. It's definitely not wet enough for those wet tyres.
Yeah, he's losing a lot of time on the straights.
Ooh, he's actually letting his teammate pass. Interestingly enough, he just let Revit pass on the inside there, maybe thinking he's actually made the wrong choice. Because, I mean, bear in mind, these 10 minutes do go down extremely quickly.
I think he's just waiting for it to change. Like, if it
Maybe,
gets slippery, he will be 20 seconds a lap faster, like I said. Like right now, we are talking about tiny elements as Hammer. Oh, he got on the curb. Hammer got on the curb and he's going to miss the corner.
Oh, and
those
he goes
curbs
off.
are already slippery. He's not really lost a place, though, fortunately, from that. As Diogo Faria now alongside Felvis. Felvis looking very good in these conditions.
Yeah, looking really, really good. I mean, well, we say that, try not to lose the car there, as everyone is just absolutely out for themselves now. And down the inside there goes Felvis, up the inside, can't quite get the move done there, but it was worth a go. Bear in mind, that's for a podium place. A huge chunk of cars coming through here from, I think, Bjorklund all the way down, as Bjorklund has just made his way into 5th place. And like you said, Sam, it is just all about confidence now. And we're coming on to lap 4, just about nearly halfway through this second heat race. And it's just, everyone's just waiting for that moment where the slicks are just utterly useless. And we're kind of nearly getting there. The spray is getting worse lap after lap as we ride with Misha Berger. Oh, there's huge contact there between himself and Philip Hammer. And Philip, oh dear, it's just getting worse and worse for him. I don't even know if that was necessarily the conditions. They were just fighting very, very hard through there. And, well, Philip Hammer has managed to get himself into 12th. Look at how much steering lock. Is it Philip Hammer's off again?
Wow. I mean, he just needs to pit for wets now, Hammer. Just throw down the gauntlet because it might be a genius strategy. But this is going badly for him. Hammer, Berger going off the circuit there. I'm not sure where the off-jack is. I don't think there is one there. And he's storming his way through. And, of course, you want to be offline there. You want to be all over the marbles if you can possibly find them. That's going to be where the grip is. Looks like Berger lost out there. There's Strand on the wet tyres. Oh, this is going to be so tricky for Strand. He's got to, I mean, he's like a human walking amongst zombies right now, and he's just got to make sure that he's not affected by any contact. And he should be good, but he is going to be so quick now because I think we have pretty much got to the transfer point where Strand can really start using those wet tyres. 3 laps to go? 3 laps to go.
The only tricky thing is, and I don't know how well iRacing have simulated wet weather tyres on a dry surface, but if it's anything like real life, those wet weather tyres would have overheated immensely in those opening few laps because it is just not wet enough. Look how slowly these guys have to go through the first few corners. Yeah, I wouldn't touch that curb, Corey. You just completely aquaplaned across that curb, so... a lot of these guys, like I said, I don't think are very experienced in driving this car in wet weather conditions. Look at how difficult it is through this first sector, especially Miles Hemming and Sicaria going side by side through these first few corners. Hemming trying to go around the outside of Sicaria and manages to do it. Puts himself up into 7th place. Oh, Sicaria drifting his way. That was an amazing save from the AM driver. I don't know if anyone saw that. He was completely full lock to the left. That was a great drift through there. And just avoid the curbs because he rode that curb ever so slightly. And, well, he nearly died, quite frankly. But still with a few laps to go. A bit deep from the drivers behind. I think some cars up at the front have gone a bit wide as well. But with 2 laps to go, is it going to be enough to get those wet tyres working? I mean, Strand has got 4 seconds to the car in front. It's just about whether the other drivers can keep it on the track now. Oh, just look at the speed Pascal Costa has to go.
On the last lap, they were 5 seconds slower. I think on this lap, they're going to be over 10 seconds slower.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Strand to turn this around, but he's not. He's not doing a lot at the moment. Like he's really. He's got a chance still, but he's starting to gain. Can we watch Strand? Let's see. I mean, honestly, we could just follow his onboard for the rest of the race, frankly. and it will be incredible. He still doesn't have much straight line speed. Remember that the wet tyres, of all the things that it affects you compared to the dries, is that it affects your straight line speed. So he just needs to go for this, because Iglesias is gonna need to be early on the brakes. On that last lap, he was faster than the leaders, despite having a little bit of instant with the back markers. But he's got the potential here, Strand. He could win this. He could still win this, Strand, because the leaders are now over 10 seconds off the pace and off. Was that
That might have been a back marker.
Sure. Maybe in a back marker.
Jamie.
Yeah, may have been Jamie Edwards, who's actually on the wet tyres.
Look at him
here
go.
Comes Strand. Here comes Strand. Now we're talking.
This is going to be a really interesting final lap for Matt Strand. I don't think it will be enough for a win. Oh, off goes. I believe that was Shakira. Everyone going off now. I don't think it will be enough for a win. I think the guys up at the top are just going to crawl to the finish. But he will pick up some nice points from this. But can he get the win? A bit of contacts there between himself and Hemming. And I think he's going to get the win here. He will catch up to Bjorklund and overtake him. But I think that might be where he'll get up to. But of course, we'll keep an eye on it. He's just gaining so much time on everyone. Everyone going deep. He goes past 2 cars there, puts himself up into 5th place. Now it's just Bjorklund in front of him. The top 3, I cannot imagine how they're feeling with a huge gap behind them.
He could do it. He could, honestly, he could catch to the leader. He's got 13 seconds to catch. The leaders are now 16 seconds a lap off the pace compared to the dry tyres. He might get, maybe the win's too far, but he's got a clean track now. He's got 13 seconds to gain. Oh, this is so good. This is exactly what we want the rain. This is the rain update from iRacing is worth it now. 11 seconds to catch.
Yeah, I did not think it would be this close, to be fair. Apparently we've just seen a mistake.
Costa's made a mistake.
Yep, I believe Costa ran across the curb there at turn 6 and is really struggling, just braking about 200-300 meters earlier than he should be. And here's what happened to Pascal Costa. Did he run over the curb? Aquaplaning there, and just desperately. Oh my god. That is car control and a half from Pascal Costa.
On live pictures, though, Strand is right with the guys now. He is. He's got like 3 corners to go. Okay, we're going to try to get back to live, but yeah, Strand is up into 3rd position now, and yeah, we're going to see if he can
up to 3rd.
Possibly try to get there. It is a super close finish. And here is Strand's.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, it's going to be a run to the line, it looks like. Strand is on the outside.
He might get it.
He's got a run to the line. Could he win it? On the run to the line. Or can Costa hold on? He's on the inside. Costa blocks him.
No.
And Costa wins the race, marginally ahead of Strand. It was 1/10 of a second in the end. And it nearly worked. But that could well be a post-race penalty. That was aggressive.
Yeah. I mean, that was blatant blocking, if I've ever seen it. I mean absolutely nothing against Pascal Costa, of course, but that was blatant blocking if I've ever seen it. That was desperate from Pascal Costa, and I do agree. I think there might be a penalty to come after the race, and it's just unfortunate that we missed those final few corners. That would have been amazing. But here we go. We can get a replay at least, and that's him passing, I believe, Farrier.
That was Lazarus.
I know that was Lazarus. This is the final corner up to the line.
Yeah,
that's just completely unfair from Pascal Costa. I think Matt Strand is going to be heartbroken after that, because that was going to be his win. But Pascal, being a little bit desperate there, and we can see just how much speed he gained. Like, it was a second coming into this last corner, and he just has so much more grip than these guys. And I mean, you can tell he's going to go towards the inside, and Pascal cuts him off and pushes him into the wall. And Matt Strand, I mean, even if it's not a penalty, 2nd place for a Pro-Am, it's just amazing, and a huge bigger points for him. I agree. I can't even speak. I'm just in shock. I agree with you, Sam, what you said earlier about the fact that the rain has added so much to that. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was so good. And yeah, I mean, I've raced in a very similar race to that, where it started raining with like 4 laps to go, and the lack of grip that you have in the last couple of laps is so bad. And he was 15 seconds a lap faster by the end of the race, so nearly brought it back. But Hapacha on pole then for the B final. This is fully wet. Everyone's on wet tyres for this one. Warren in second place. It's Velasquez, Greaveson, Skovic, Breivik, Burzeg. In fact, already I think the lights are coming on for the circuit. So we've got 10 drivers, a smaller grid for this one. Top 6 get through into the A final, but the top 6 who get through will have some better knowledge of the wet weather, as Hapacha storms away from the field. And it's a great start for Adam Greaveson. He's got a really nice launch from 4th on the grid. He's up into 2nd place already. Warren and Velasquez just trying to hold those places. Is anyone going to lock heading into turn 1? I think they're all being fairly cautious. Hapacha with a great start.
Yeah, that was brilliant from Hapacha, and leading away. We definitely expect him to be one of the better drivers in this race as we head into the first section for the first time. Everyone definitely just feeling out these conditions, and Philip Hammer with a little bit of work to do, of course, after a very, very disappointing second heat as he goes up the inside. They're already making some very, very nice progress, and my guess is we're probably going to have our 3 pros in the top 3. Shock. And then it's just going to be a dogfight for those final few positions. No. As who was that who just came across? That was Jamie Edwards. Thank you, you both. Very helpful. Jamie Edwards there coming across the nose of, I believe, Skofic. And, well, that was a bit of a jump scare and a half. Did he just completely break too late? That was quite late. And, yeah, completely spun out on the puddles on the outside. And no harm, I don't think, caused to either driver, but definitely a little bit scary for Skofic, and probably would have given him a bit of a scare.
Yeah, that was a bit of a nervy one. Some nervy bits of contact there. Steve plays up 3 places from his race starts. And you see the alternate lines. Velasquez taking a very wide line heading onto the pit straight. But you can see all the puddles there. The big one forming as they join the banking. And I think a lot of drivers did the test race yesterday. We always hosted test race, and I think about half the drivers who are around today did that test race yesterday, and that was in fully wet conditions. Maybe a bit wetter than what it is right now, but those drivers who did do some practice and didn't just do the very dry official series will be in good stead right now.
Yeah, 100%. And I would be laughing if anyone decided to go on the dry tyres for this race. But luckily everyone has a head and didn't take that unnecessary gamble. And everyone really does look like they're just struggling, and kind of confirms what I was saying earlier about not many people being too familiar with the wet weather conditions. Ooh, and that's going to be very late for Steve Clays. I'm shocked he managed to get the car stopped there. Kind of using Velasquez as the brake there, Forza Horizon style, but just managed to get the car slowed down. As can he now? Oh, he's under pressure from Skofic, and he's bonked him completely off the road. And Clays, be careful coming back on the road. Luckily, no one else is behind him, and he's fallen right to the back. And that's probably going to be the last we see of Stephen Clays for today. Unfortunate and very, very disappointing after such a good Sebring, but has just been at the wrong place at the wrong time today.
Yeah, not a good one for him. I wouldn't rule him out totally. I think when it comes to batsing in these wet conditions, you can lose a lot of time very quickly. There's going to be some mistakes, so still a chance at a top 6, I reckon, for him. Here comes Philip Hammer. I can't believe that he's in this race. But he started back in 8th, and he's up into 3rd, as he nearly goes into the back now of Adam Greaveson. And nearly again as well. This is, I mean, of course, you've got to look at a silver lining right now for Hammer. At least he can get used to the wet conditions. All these other drivers, particularly the Heat 1 drivers, wouldn't have driven in the wet so far today. Whereas Hammer's got that opportunity now. So maybe that's the only crumb of comfort he can take from this.
Yeah, that is very, very true. As we go with Philip Hammer once again, trying to attack Greaveson for 2nd place, and just biding his time at the moment. Doesn't really need to rush this. We've discussed this many times on here before. These places in the top half of the B final are just for grid positions, not for points at all. So Philip Hammer can just relax for this one, wait for his opportunity, and potentially it's now, as no, never mind. Going on the inside there clearly was not the way to go. Completely aquaplane there, but Grieveson has gone a little bit deep, and that could be Philip Hammer up to second place. It's not done completely yet. Grieveson is going to try and hang on, but it was futile. And there goes Philip Hammer up into second place. And that should be our front row of this race sorted. It's just about those final few places now. Grieveson, Warren Velasquez, Skofic, all of those guys really have the best opportunity, I think, to get into that A final. And, well, of course, it's a wet weather race. Plenty of mistakes can happen. And like you said, Sam, fighting in these conditions loses you a huge chunk of time, as we're about to see between Edwards and Burzeg going into turn one. Burzeg up the inside, easy as you like. That was a very clean move as he puts himself up into 7th.
Yeah, got one more place to gain then on Velasquez, who's fairly close to Skofic right now. In fact, Skofic, I think, just moved past Velasquez into 5th place, so might start pulling away. Yeah, really cool to see Burzeg moving up into 7th place there. Shout out, by the way, to our title sponsor for this series, Apex Racing Academy. Of course, all these drivers get a free subscription to Apex Racing Academy just for signing up to the series, which is a fantastic offer for them all, and a lot of them have been using those free subscriptions in order to get data packs, and that includes setups and track guides, and also group coaching sessions as well for this Porsche Cup car. You can also get subscriptions as well for other cars as well, whether that be GT3s or prototypes or single seaters or rallycross cars. If you get a bronze subscription, you get access to one car, and if you get a silver subscription, you get access to all the cars. So do make sure to head over to apexracingac.com in order to get yourself a subscription and get faster on iRacing.
As we jump back to the Indy Road Circuit, not too many battles going on at the moment. I think the field spread is definitely showing as people just really do come to grips with the current track conditions, and that's mostly what you get when you do wet weather racing, is everyone a little bit more spread out. And anyone that's watched pretty much any motorsport in real life knows exactly that half the time driving in the wet is just an experiment, honestly. You're just trying to find the best lines, the best grip, and as the track is changing lap after lap after lap, you kind of have to experiment almost every lap, and it is just a never-ending... It's like playing a horror game in a way. It's absolutely terrifying, especially for a driver like Capaccia leading at the front. The only benefit, of course, being at the front is he doesn't have to worry about any spray coming in front of him, but you just have to trust that the car will stop aquaplaning and it will give you the grip you need. But you need an awful amount of trust and confidence, like Sam was talking about earlier. That's all it is in the rain. And, well, some drivers do get too overconfident and, well, they end up making a huge mistake. As you can see, the amount of aquaplaning, the standing water there coming onto the main straight from the banking, it's terrifying. But Abasha seems very comfortable out in the lead at the moment, and is doing very consistent lap after lap.
Another driver who's looking very confident is Aspi Skopic. He overtook Velasquez not long ago, and now he's caught up to the pro driver of Corby Warren. And also looking to the inside, he was about 3/10 faster than Warren on that last lap, so it could be another place to be gained by the 3:15. As we got a replay of how Skopic managed to get past Velasquez a couple of laps ago. I think this was on the previous lap. Went to the inside, of course, so much grip on the inside compared to the racing line, and he made it comfortably. But of course, watch out for the drivers when it comes to their racing lines. It seemed like Hammer, at least in comparison to Grieveson, was taking a lot more of those traditional racing lines, not necessarily taking wide lines, missing the racing line. He was more willing to take the normal line, and of course sometimes that can make you wash out. But other times it can also, of course, be a shorter run to the next corner. And, yeah, even if you're offline through one part of the corner, it might get you on a grippier part on the next part. But I think through here he's just taking a tight line, yeah, just the racing line, so yeah, not mixing it up too much. He looks fairly confident there in second place.
He definitely does.
Nick Horn. Oh, sorry. And just one word on Nick Horn, just asking who's doing the Cup car training these days. Well, Nick, it is Luke McCohen who is doing the Cup car training for the Porsche Cup for Apex Racing Academy, and of course Luke is currently doing very well in PESC. Had a decent set of results, I think, last weekend. He's also second place in PEC GB at the moment, so very few better drivers to learn from than Luke.
Well, how good is he in the wet? And how good would he do in the Apex Porsche Cup Series?
I haven't seen how good he is in the wet. I haven't seen any. I don't think any of the PESC races have been in the wet so far.
That's sad. I do think throwing wet weather is definitely... I think it just makes the championship a little bit more worth it, because of course if you're good in the wet, you are a very, very well-rounded driver, because I know plenty of people who are extremely quick in the dry, but as soon as, well, a droplet of rain hits the track, they just, well, they cave in. They absolutely brick it. And some drivers are the opposite. They're not all that great in the dry, maybe a bit off the pace, and then as soon as the wet weather comes, they turn into Ayrton Senna. So, you know, you can get both sides of the coin. But if you're quick in both, then, well, you're Michael Schumacher. So there you go. I haven't seen too many people who are like that, and especially we saw in that second heat. I'm still surprised that only one driver took the gamble on wet weather tyres.
So I was looking at the forecast at the start, and it was saying, because the forecast, anyone who's on iRacing, I'm sure you're familiar, and it's like every quarter of an hour that it gives the forecast. And I think the race started at 22 minutes past the hour. On the 15, it said 0% chance of rain. On the 30, it said 50% rain. So it felt like, oh, okay, come the end of the race, it might start spitting. But I think genuinely when the green flag was waved, I don't think it was raining. I think it was seconds after the green flag was waved that it started to spit. And yeah, of course, in hindsight, start on the wet, because the wet tyres in dry conditions aren't that bad. Like I'm racing in the PEC GB series, which actually is going to be wet this weekend, and done a little bit of experimenting when it comes to the wet tyres on dry track. And you're only really losing maybe 3 or 4 seconds a lap, which obviously, as we found in the race earlier on, if you start gaining 20 seconds a lap near the end of the race, it's more than worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I did mention this at some point in that second heat, was I'm not 100% sure how well iRacing simulate wet weather tyres on a dry track, because I think I did mention earlier on that in real life they would just overheat, burn up extremely quickly.
In the little experiment that I did like maybe 6 laps at Alton Park on wet tyres in the dry, and at the end of which the tyre wear was down to like 93%, so like wasn't too bad.
It's not even that bad, yeah.
I don't know if all the grip is in that 7%, to be fair. I'm not sure how it works when it comes to the wet weather, but yeah, it didn't seem so bad. So yeah, I don't think it's too costly.
No, I mean, we definitely saw Strand losing time, but it wasn't an immense amount of time. It wouldn't be like it would be in real life. I mean, it probably would be at least like 4 or 5 seconds a lap, maybe, that you're going slower, because you just have so much less tread on your tyre. But it's not just the fact you're on a worse tyre. Like I said, it's going to be overheating. The tread will wear out extremely quickly, and well, the tread will just start melting with how hot the tyre would be getting. So it's clear iRacing probably haven't done too much experimentation with that, and that's possibly what contributed to Matt Strand finishing in second place, and probably should have won, but you know, controversial. And I can imagine Matt Strand probably has said something to Pascal Costa at least, but that will be dealt with after the race surely. And wow, we're already coming towards the end of the race, and should be a fairly simple victory for Habacha.
Yeah, this was meant to be the crazy race, because it was meant to start raining midway through this one, but we got the rain a little bit earlier than expected. And yeah, it's been very comfortable. For Matej Habacha, he's just got a couple more corners to go, and he's consolidated this one very, very impressively. So Hammer closing the gap. It was up to about 5 seconds earlier on, but it's not going to get particularly close. He'll get the fastest lap, but it'll be Mater Habacha for North Sim Racing. I think that might be his second B final race victory of the season, and he gets safely through into the A final. Hammer finishes in second place. Grieveson will once again appear in the A final. More good opportunity for him to get points. Corby Warren will hold off Skopich. Skopich got very close actually on the last lap here, but he won't be close enough to make a move. And Velasquez will be the last driver who gets through. Burzek just fell off a bit. And, well, actually, Clays had to tow in the end. I saw Clays overtook Edwards, but then seemingly towed on the last lap. So the Belgian, his day comes to an end, and maybe his championship hopes as well coming to an end.
Yeah, unfortunate. Clays looked very, very quick at Sebring, and was one of the most impressive performances by an AM that we've seen so far this season. But today it's been pretty much the exact opposite of that. It's just been very, very unlucky for the Belgian, and like you said, it's could be the end of his championship hopes. Not completely, still anything could happen in those final 2 rounds at the Hungaroring. Of course, speaking of, next week we have our second and final 60-minute race, which should be very, very interesting. Hungaroring as well is a track that I don't really think iRacing actually uses very often,
No.
weirdly.
It is insane, the rejection towards Hungary. Like, people just tried it for a season and said, nah, we're not using this circuit, goodbye. I thought it would be a massive hit when it came to iRacing, because, you know, you can imagine racing Mazdas there, but it's also one of the mainstays in Formula 1, and it hosts some pretty good F1 races there. But people just hate to drive it. I haven't driven them much at all, honestly, partially because it's just never used. So, yeah, that would be a weird one. I imagine that was a forced one from the Porsche community when it comes to like the rotational circuits. You usually have like 4 tiers of circuits, and the 4th tier is like circuits that everyone hates, but I use like once. One of them I use per season just to cycle them through, and it's probably one of them, and hopefully it will live up. But that 60-minute race, I think that will be an interesting one, because I think at least when one of the few races I have commentated there was in the prototypes, and the tyre wear around there was shockingly awful. It was up there with Barcelona as the highest tyre wear circuits of the season. So I think that will be an interesting one, because usually we don't see these drivers take tyres in those 60-minute races, but around Hungary they might be tempted.
Potentially, yeah. And, well, I don't know what devious weather plans are planned for next week, so could
Nothing
be...
has been scheduled yet. It will probably be
Okay.
dry. 90% it will be dry.
Okay, right, so... Yeah, I think the Hungaroring is just okay. It's not a track I'd necessarily hate or dislike or whatever. It's one of those tracks where I see it on the schedule and I'm just like, okay, fair enough. That'll be all right. It's a decent track to hot lap. Racing can be a little bit tricky. It's hit or miss, I think, the Hungaroring. It's definitely depends on what car you're doing it in, I think. The prototypes, I can't imagine, would be very good around there. But something like Porsche Cup cars, I think, could actually be quite fun at the Hungaroring. So once we go there next week, hopefully everyone will definitely enjoy that one. And then, of course, the week after that, we finish at Suzuka, which has, of course, seen the finale to many, many championships, including Formula 1 for many, many years. Bit of a shame we don't finish there anymore. And quite frankly, I think any track would be better to finish at than Abu Dhabi, but that's just my opinion. And, well, we've got some pretty good final few rounds on our hands.
Yeah, it will be a good finale to the season, and after tonight we'll have a good idea on how many of the championships will need to be decided at that final round of the season as well. But here comes the grid then for the final race, 18 minutes, and it's the wettest race that we've had so far tonight. Joe Vega Godestad is on pole position alongside Pascal Costa. Then it's Dalton Zavadil, Matt Strands with that amazing result in the second heat. Then it's Despotakis, Lazarus Pedersen, Farrier, Marshall, Bjorkland, Zaboda, Felvers, Tyler, Pisco, Kokok, Hemming, Crawford, Sequeira, Vadal, Stolberger, Lane, Iglesias, Hapacha, Hammer, Grieveson, Warren, Skopich, and Velasquez, rounding out the 30 cars. Now, of course, remember that Vegard Gosda had a fantastic start to race 1, probably the best start of anyone, and so we'll wait to see if he can deliver on that one. And of course, thanks to everyone who has tuned in. Hopefully you enjoyed the racing. If you didn't see Heat 2, watch it. It was a thriller, but I think this one will be pretty good as well. Let's see if Golestad can get his first final race victory of the season. Away we launch at Indianapolis. It is a good start for the second place man of Pascal Costa, who should be able to draw alongside. Decent start for Zaldil. He was dipping into the draft. It's almost 4 wide, a little bit further back. Matt Strand moving about a little bit in 4th place. Golestad trying to hold on to the lead, but Costa is up his inside, and Costa is almost round, but he's made it. They all seemingly overshot it, but Costa has got a little bit of grip, but he's left himself vulnerable, tried to get offline, and Golestad's just taken the normal racing line and has moved past. A little bit of a hold up and maybe a spin around. I think it's Thomas Firm, Misha Berger with a bad start, Bjorklund with a bad start as well. They had to slow up, but Golestad back underneath Costa, and he does lead after the first sector.
I believe that was Colby One or Hapasha that just went off in the background. But yeah, that was a very tricky start for Golestad, but just about managed to make it work. And Costa, I would love to see how he dived down the inside. Speaking of, Despotakis trying to attack Gordon Marshall, excuse me, as Gordon doing very, very well on this opening lap. Got up 3 places and now up to 6th place, potentially on the attack for Matt Strand. So he might have some competition after all. That's a bit of a sense on Philip Hammer from Skofik, who's actually managed to get past Philip Hammer. That was very opportunistic, but now with the outside line, Philip Hammer might just take that place back, as of course that's quicker here in the wet, and he does get that place back, and up to 24th he goes, and will continue to watch his progress over the course of this race. Bit of contact there between Kokok and Crawford as they head through the final few quarters. Got to avoid the inside, there's far too many puddles there, and Kokok easily managing to get up to 14th, as Bjorklund needs to make progress of his own after a terrible start. He's down 12 places from starting from 10th, as Philip Hammer now battling with Berger. You cannot see anything on these cameras, that's how wet it is. The spray is immense. Into turn 1 we go then for the second time, and Stoll now attacking Crawford as he goes up to 15th, leading the AMS, and a very, very good start for the German. Bit twitchy though, gotta be careful, as that's Lane going up the inside, nearly contact. I do not know how Lane didn't just swipe the back of Crawford or Stoll, but he managed to get away with it, and Stoll now in 16th, leading away in the AMS.
That was like, it was almost as though he like clipped through them, like as though it was like an animation error, but I don't know how he got a gap there.
Oh, Pedersen.
Oh no, there was contact. He did actually hit him, so he forced him out of the way. So that's how he got through, but it was a bit weird with the way that they made contact there.
Oh, Hammer's gone.
Oh wow, there have been there's 5 cars off the circuit. That is crazy. Hammer's lost all of his places that he'd gained. That is a mess. Velasquez up 13. He gains, I think, about 5 or 6 places through that, but a lot of drivers. Iglesias, I think, Sequeira, Vidal, Hammer, Apache were all involved. Apache was the one who gained from it. Well, he didn't really gain from it, but at least he caught up to those guys, and then he lost it all because he missed the corner.
I think they all might have just missed the corner. I imagine there was a bit of contact, but it just looked very tricky. As just noticed that Costa,
Pascal Costa,
and
Golestad's come back again. Costa overshot it at T1, and someone's gone way wide. It's Gordon Marshall. Marshall has gone almost through NASCAR turn 4 right there. He has gone super deep and lost a bunch of places because he's basically had to do a 180 to get back into the vicinity of the circuit. But Golestad has held on again, and they're actually pulling away from Zavato, who's barely had a Strand. So Strand's strong heat performance, he's keeping it up. Even though he's not got a tyre advantage now, he's still performing very well.
Well, we'd just like to mention that Zavadil was fighting with Ben Pedersen for 3rd. And bit of contact there, all of them bumping into the back of one another. They just cannot get this car stopped at all. It looks so tricky out there, especially down into the braking zone of turn 7 where they all just came from. Oh no, that's going to be contact between Pedersen, and he's spun round again, and he's going to lose a few places there, down to 10th. Pedersen's A final has gone tragically wrong. What looked like a potential podium at the start has turned tragic for him, unfortunately. And he's got to pick up some scraps from this race now. We can get a replay of what did happen to Philip Hammer earlier on. And this should show us what on earth happened down here. And they're going 4 wide, and, well, that just was never going to work. And, yeah, everyone else in the background did just genuinely go off by themselves.
Yeah, so many locks breaks down now. I'm surprised, actually, that the field is quite as close as it still. Still got top 9 separated by 9 seconds. Top 3 is separated out. Zavador is not comfortable in these conditions. He is definitely the fastest driver in this series in the dry. Oh, that's deep. That's deep. Oh, that's a miracle. That is a miracle that Coco did not murder a driver there. And is he the one who's rejoining? Yeah, that's him rejoining now. But that went remarkably well. He managed to find a gap. I think he even left off the brake just so that he could slide through those 2 cars.
Yeah, this is what you're going to get in the wet, is either the biggest crashes you've ever seen or absolute miracles. And that's just completely aquaplane there. No grip under brakes whatsoever. And like you said, Sam, that is genuinely... I don't know how he avoided them, but the iRacing gods definitely intervened somewhat there, as we have some battling. Or is that Felvis actually losing some places there? I think he lost 2 places in those last few corners, and loses another one, going very, very slowly. Might have picked up a slowdown somewhere, has Kyle Felvis. Unfortunately, he was having a pretty good race. I think he was up to 7th or 6th until this little blip from him, but still in 9th, still going decently strong. And our top 6 have remained exactly the same so far in this race. Pretty much the rest of the grid have been shimmy-shaying all day long, as here we go again. Goddestad versus Pascal Costa. This is round 3 between these two so far in this race. Is it going to end up exactly the same as it has? I think it will. I just don't think the inside line in the wet is going to work for Costa, but I might just about to eat my own words, as there goes Pascal Costa into the lead of the race. And, well, yeah, that's my words, completely and utterly useless. And Ben Pedersen and Felvis both out of the race. And I can hear some very, very angry words in the chat, as that's extremely wide from Goddestad. But I got to admit, Costa does look quicker out of the 2 of them. But I don't know what happened behind, as all I could hear in my ear while that was going on was people yelling expletives at one another. So you imagine something pretty big. Oh wow. Dear, that is quite big.
Oh no! And then he got angry. Felvis definitely got angry there. And even if it is the other driver's fault, you can't be losing your head like that. And I fear for the repercussions of Felvis there. I'm sure the first incident isn't deliberate, but yeah, that one. He might have damage to Felvis. The car might be pulling right or something. But I hope that is the case. They are both out of the race. It did look like Felvis was moving across a little bit, and yeah, he was like turning right. So yeah, it's let's see what the stewards do about that one. But yeah, they're both out now, and we're down to 28 drivers who are running. Already Costa 1 second clear of Goddestad. These 2 are really quick. I mean, these 2 are seemingly much quicker than everyone else. Zavador will be, no disrespect to Matt Strand, but pleased that a Pro-Am is sat behind him. Despotak is trying to move his way up. He is getting closer to Strand, but oh, look at that. Despotak is way later on the brakes. Strand goes defensive, Strand goes deep, and I think Despotakis is going to be able to pull off a similar move to what Costa did before, and is up into 4th place. Now he can chase down his championship rival, Dalton Zavador.
Oh, as Lazarus is now trying to be opportunistic, but Matt Strand needs to be careful. This is a victory potentially on his hands. Does manage to keep that 5th place and keeps the Lazarus behind, at least for now. But Matt Strand definitely has to think about this one. He can pick up some huge points today. Of course, with that 2nd place finish in Heat 2, that's already a big chunk of points. But 5th place in this A final would be even bigger. And dare I say, could put him in a cheeky spot for the championship. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head what the point standings are looking like for Matt Strand specifically, and I will briefly have a cheeky look at where Matt Strand
sixth.
does lie. He
So
is
he's probably not in the
and-
championship hunt, but he could. At the end of today, he could be up to third. He might. He'll probably stay in sixth, but he'll be very close to the top 3. I think after tonight.
I think it will definitely put him in a position where he could win the championship if he keeps up this level of performance. But we'll definitely keep an eye, and bear in mind that with 8 minutes left to go, he's got Svoboda literally 4/10 of a second behind him, and Gordon Marshall as well, about another second behind that. So it's not over for Matt Strand. He's still got a little bit of work to do, and Svoboda definitely would want to get past, as he needs to increase his championship lead after what has been a decent day for himself, but definitely not as dominant as we've seen in previous races.
Yeah, might still be able to win out tonight. We'll see. But another pole position, 5 poles in 6 races now for Miroslav Svoboda. Because you'll see them go over this curve. It just straightens up the car completely. That curve is completely soaked with water, and the car goes straight. But Svoboda still managing to carry good speed. He's on the racing line here, but it doesn't seem like the braking is too compromised, honestly. I'm a bit surprised actually how good the braking has been on the racing line. Particularly for a big braking zone like that, usually you want to be way off it, otherwise the car just locks instantly. But for some reason it's not that bad today. It might as well be that we had a lot of rain earlier on early in the practice session, so maybe there's not so much rubber down on the track, and so that racing line isn't quite as slick as it would normally be. But yeah, they're not having to change the lines as much as maybe they would do at other circuits. Almost thinking about a move there for the 131 of barrier on Strand, and these places being leaked a little bit. Marshall is a bit of a what if, because he basically took the NASCAR oval earlier on, or the IndyCar oval earlier on. If it weren't for that, he would be ahead of all these guys. He lost, must be 5 or 6 seconds. He'd be right up there battling with Zavadil, but instead he's at the back here in 9th place, as Farrier might be past Strand, and the positions are leaking for Strand. Farrier passed, but Strand gets his way back on the inside. Now we're seeing the outside line through turn 2 be very effective actually in recent laps. Not effective enough for Strand there, and Farrier is passed.
Well, now Matt Strand is really going to have to keep an eye on his rearview mirrors, as he's got 2 very, 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 very hungry pro-ams who would be very, very desperate. As Marshall, actually, that was a cheeky move by the Scotsman. Managed to get past Svoboda. That was brilliant. That was optimistic and brave, and he managed to do it. So now it's Marshall, actually, who might be the one to put the pressure on Matt Strand instead of Svoboda. Gordon Marshall, of course, is about 50 points behind in the championship compared to Svoboda, but Marshall has been very, very good these last few rounds, but I'm not sure it'll be enough. Svoboda has been just brilliant throughout the whole season. So the Pro-Am Championship is going to be very, very tasty indeed. I think potentially the Pro Championship might be a little bit easier to call. Of course, we've seen Dalton Zavadil be extremely dominant. Today's been a bit difficult for him, but still, we say difficult, he's still in 3rd. So, I mean, if a podium is a bad race, you know your season's been going well. So, the Pro Championship, I think you were discussing earlier on, Sam, is pretty much dead set. The AM Championship, though, very, very much still up for grabs. Pretty much anyone inside of the top 3, apart from Plays now, of course. So, basically, just Grieveson and Shikaria have a decent chance of winning out, and there goes Gordon Marshall up to 7th place. And Matt Strand, hard work, unfortunately has not been converted into race pace, and he falls down to 8th place and 2nd in the Pro-Ams. And I think Svoboda will probably overtake as well. Matt Strand does look a little bit off the pace.
Yeah, I think Strand's done very well to stay as high as he has done, honestly, because obviously that he was a crazy race. He pulled off an amazing strategy. For those who aren't aware, he the race started dry, but it started spotting with rain just at the start of the race. It was just a 10-minute race, and Strand managed to come back over the course of the 10 minutes and nearly won the entire race. It was pretty much a run to the line. But he's done pretty well to stay as high up as he has done. We have contact on the back straight there between Kokok and Bjorklund. Looks like Bjorklund has got past there, but not without making a couple of enemies potentially on the way. Kokok, after a strong qualifying earlier on, yeah, in 14th place, I think he'll probably take that. It's a solid result for really any pro-am, no matter how fast you are, but he's got to watch out now for Berger behind. We've got 3 more minutes to go, and that means we've got 3 more laps to go. We'll just get in that 3rd lap as Misha Berger overshoots slightly, and what's that, Tyler just moving his way past? Oh, he's into the pits. Maybe he's reached the instant limit, I wonder.
I wouldn't be surprised.
This is a bad circuit to have to take a drive through. It's literally the longest pit lane in the world.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I believe the pit speed limit is quite slow as well, annoyingly. I don't think he will be... Yeah, this is... It's kind of like Fuji, to be honest. Anyone that's ever had to take a drive-through there knows.
I guess that's 40 miles an hour.
That's... Honestly, that's still not that quick, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, that's as slow as they go. Yeah, I think the fastest ones go 60 miles an hour, like 100 kilometers an hour.
Wow. Well, he's going to be very, very sad. And, well, he's going to fall down to last, I think, unfortunately, for Misha Berger. And, this is just painful to watch. Just crawling.
Oh, he's still
crawling.
Close. Come on, give the man a break. And then he's probably going to get a penalty because who knows which way you go around the curve here. Oh, no. Okay, you got to stay tight. Got to stay tight. Ooh. No. He went over the white line. Well, that might be another penalty.
Dear. Oh, no.
Come on, Misha, get back in. Go again. I mean, I would say as well. Oh, no. That's a patch around. Oh, well, after a fantastic B final, remember, which he won. Was up into 19th place in the A final. But he's leaked a lot of those places. Now, was there contact?
Oh, let's have a cheeky look. I imagine there will be, and yeah, there was.
I don't think that was Velasquez's fault, though, to be fair. I think he'll get away with that.
Yeah, I'll definitely need another look at it. It was a bit difficult to tell, but it was, I think, the slightest of taps from Velasquez that sent Hapacha around. And let's see who might have been at fault for this. This is with Velasquez. All the way on the curb, a little bit of aquaplaning.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he gets on the curb where all those puddles are. Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's almost as though...
I think that might be a racing incident.
Yeah. Oh, Lazarus has got past Despotakis. Good pace for Lazarus. He could still get... Well, if he can get past now, he can still get Zavadil. But he cannot get past his contact. And he's almost round again. Despotakis is going to hold on to P4 here. Got one more lap to go after this one, as long as Costa
goes in
reasonably fast around the final P4s. This could be the checker flag. But George Tyler, he's still out there as well, racing with Kokok. And it looks like Kokok is ahead. It is the checker flag. So here comes Pascal Costa. It is going to be 2 races, 1 for him today. And that is his third A final race victory of the season. If he hadn't missed a couple of rounds, he would be right in championship contention. Despotakis has reached the instant limit. And as one of our championship rivals, Hammer falls by the wayside. Despotakis falls by the wayside as well. He'll get a 42nd post-race. And we'll have to go down quite a long pit lane as well, even though it's only half of it. And Zavadil, despite not really having much pace in the wet at all, extends his championship lead and very much puts a hand on a second Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup trophy. Marshall norms his way back up to 5th place. He definitely had pace for the podium right there. He was in fantastic form. And Michael Velasquez, who needed a big round, has definitely delivered. He's going to finish 17th overall and get really important points. So a lot of catching up to do. He's probably still only the 4th favourite for the AM title. But the Philippines driver has given himself a shot with 2 rounds of the season to go.
Yeah, that AM Championship definitely looking the closest so far. And Gordon Marshall getting 5th in the end there. That was a very good chunk of points. Strand did actually manage to keep a hold of that 7th place ahead of Sabota. So Sabota not maximising his points today, but definitely still with a firm lead in the Pro-Ams. And I'm kind of surprised iRacing Does it really ever finish early? Because he crossed the line with, I think, 2 seconds left.
Yeah, well, it's always an
So, I don't
approximation,
know.
isn't it? The lap of before, where it's like, okay, I think
But
you're
it
going to
wasn't the
take
white
this.
flag.
How long?
At least I didn't see a white flag.
I
Maybe
don't
I'm
think we
blind.
see it on our side though, ever. I think only the drivers
I
see it.
don't know. I have definitely seen white flags commentate. I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know. That was just very strange. I didn't see a white flag. I didn't think it was the last lap, but oh well. Costa did one less lap. Maybe he slowed down on purpose. He had a big enough gap to do so, and maybe he just wanted to finish the race early. I don't know. Anyway, the results probably would have ended up being the same anyway. But so that was a very interesting day. The weather very much contributing to all the action that we had. And Costa, I'm not sure what the stewards will say about his incident with Matt Strand. I mean, it was blatant blocking, but he might argue that he was constantly moving to the right anyway. I don't know. We'll have a look and see what the stewards say next week. And, well, if they decide that he's all clean and all free, then it's a very, very good day for the Portuguese man.
Yeah, and his A final victory is very much secure. Like, if he gets a penalty, that won't affect the A final. It might just be that he gets docked a few positions in the heat. So that A final, either way, that's his third of the season, which is crazy because he's only done this season, Pascal Costa, he's done four rounds. There's been 6 rounds in total. He's done 4 of them. He's won 3 of them. That's Pascal Costa. He's just missed 2 of them, which is really annoying. Otherwise, he'd really be a good challenger for Zavadil. But there it is. He wins once again. Got to start with another second place, but he is the man in form. Zavadil really with no pace in the wet. I don't think Dalton has been humbled by it like that for a while, but he would be delighted to beat everyone behind him because he did well in his heat, did Zavadil, and he just held on to those places, made no errors, and got good points. Top of the pro-ams was Marshall with Strand and Sabota in 7th and 8th. Strand holding on to that second place in pro-ams. A great day for him. And Velasquez was winner in the amateurs ahead of Skofich and Sequeira. Pretty good day for Sequeira, who's maybe the championship leader after that because a pretty bad race 1 for heat for Creason. A good B final. Good A final for Creason, but a bad heat. So I think Sequeira will now be amateur championship leader with 2 rounds to go. Let's have a chat with one of our drivers. Let's first drag up Pascal Costa, who is our race winner tonight. Pascal, congratulations. Let's go back to the heat though, shall we? Was there any temptation to start on the wet tyres? Because it was an absolute masterstroke from Mats.
There was, and I'm very sorry that I pulled that move against Mats. That's normally not my not my driving style. I was desperate, as you commented correctly, and thought I want to close the inner door, and it was I hesitated much, and then I blocked him like in NASCAR, and I know in the sports cars that's not a fair thing to do. So I'm very sorry that I did that. But looking at the forecast, I had the same mindset as I don't know who commented it that it will be the last couple of laps that it will rain. So I thought I will be fine, and then the drop started happening, and then there went the race then.
I mentioned that, and according to the radar, it was like, okay, at 15 past no rain. It's currently 22 past, and at half past there's a 50% chance of rain. So it was like, it should start raining with 2 laps to go, but for some reason it came a little bit earlier, and you had to deal with that. Have you ever been in a race like that when you've been on slick tires on a wet circuit? Like, have you got any experience in that car in those conditions?
I practiced it a little bit, but not on that conditions that the track is declared wet. For me, when the spotter says the track is wet, it's usually, okay, rain tires are now the way to go, right? But the option to pit was not there because you lose a ton of time. So I had to try to manage my pace, which did not go that well, as you seen that I went onto the grass and stuff. I had a lot of things to do in the car to keep it on track, and felt like I was snailing around. Yeah.
And then in the A final, you had a fantastic battle against Joe Vega. Gotta start, of course, you two have faced a lot over the years, especially in this series, I'm sure in the officials as well. Yeah, what was that battle like? Because it seemed like you sort of required 3 different attempts to get it done. Was there anything that you did different on the 3rd time which allowed you to get past?
Yeah, I was surprised about the lack of grip I had in the middle of the track. You would think that the middle of the track is the track that is not driven that much, so you have more grip there. I instantly locked up, went deep 2 times, and thought, okay, that's not the way to go. I have to figure out something different. And then I saw my opportunity because you was taking a wider line into the one corner, and there is more grip inside, and I thought, just put my nose in and see how it goes, and yeah. And then it all went well, yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice move to be able to take the lead on that occasion. And yeah, I was surprised as well, just like where the grip was. Like usually, yeah, the racing line is absolutely treacherous, and you know break on the racing line and you just lock up instantly. But yeah, it didn't seem so bad out there tonight. Looking ahead to the final 2 rounds, unfortunately you've missed a few rounds this season. But are we going to be able to see you in the final 2 rounds of the season?
Yeah, I will attend. I wanted to attend every time, but the one evening I was occupied, and the last one I was with COVID in my bed, so there was no option to drive. And yeah, that happens. And yeah, I will try my best for Hungaroring, and it's Suzuka, right? Hungaroring and Suzuka.
Yes.
The next couple of rounds. Yeah. I'm stoked for it, and yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, we wish you the best of luck for that one, Pascal. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, thanks to my team. And yeah, thanks for commentating on that high of a level. It's really a joy to watch the replay and the whole broadcast the next day. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks for the kind words, Pascal, and best of luck next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Pascal Costa there, your race winner, and very humble as well when it came to admitting his error in that heat. You might well get a post-race penalty. It might be that he just gets docked 1 place. It might be a bit more severe than that. We will see what happens, but his A final race victory, I think, has very little doubt in it. Aaron, who would you like to chat with?
You're asking me who, like I have choice.
Well, there's 10 drivers, Aaron. You might want to have a chat with us because they really like us as people.
Well, out of all of them, I'm going to choose Velasquez. He seems like the nicest chap to talk to. But Velasquez, welcome to the commentary booth. And well, it wasn't an easy day here at Indy Road, but he managed to pick up a victory in that A final. So talk to us just about how tricky it was throughout this entire grueling day.
Oh my goodness! First of all, I don't think there's a word to describe how much chaos was there due to the rain. Yeah, all the practice, it did not prepare me for like how little you can see in this fray and all that. So that was scary. But yeah, it was pretty chaotic. I'm not too pleased with my driving because there were some contacts that I had from just the lack of grip and then not expecting it. But yeah, glad to have survived still.
Well, to be fair, I'm pretty sure everyone made contact today, so you don't have to be too hard on yourself, to be honest. But just, you were talking about no one really practicing in the rain, and I honestly don't think after today that anyone was. So maybe in future weeks, is that something you might do? Maybe chuck a few laps down in the rain?
Oh yeah, for sure, and definitely with AI, because the spray, especially with multiple cars ahead of you, is I don't know. It gave quite a scare for me. I was worried about, oh no, where's the braking point? How far ahead is the guy ahead of me, and where should I brake and all that. So it was a lot to think of. But yeah, it's, as an amateur, this was such a humbling experience for me.
Well, it gave you a victory nonetheless. And so, well, we move to the last 2 weeks now. We've got the Hungaroring next week, and of course, a 60-minute race, the second of two this season, and then we end with Suzuka the week after. How are you feeling for those two tracks? Are you looking forward to it, or maybe are you dreading it slightly?
I'm not sure what to expect because I haven't driven those tracks on iRacing, but I have on ACC. So we'll see. I think getting used to the track will be fairly all right. Hopefully, there's no rain to catch us out or anything like that. but yeah, I'm pretty excited though for the race, final 2 rounds.
Yeah, that 60-minute race next week should be really, really fun to watch. And Suzuka is Suzuka, so should be fun as well. And well, thank you and having a quick chat with us, Michael. Always a pleasure. And before we let you go, anyone you want to give a quick mention or shout out to?
Sure, yeah. All the Asians and Australians as well, New Zealanders as well, who are up to race. It's quite an early morning, so yeah, hopefully you guys have enough energy for the rest of the day, and hopefully your race was worth it.
Well, I'm sure all of them will appreciate the kind words. And yeah, I forgot that you guys are waking up at like stupid o'clock, like 6 a.m. or something. But I mean, even better, the fact you managed to win ahead of some of the guys who have a lot more energy than you do. But anyway, Velasquez, always a pleasure, and good luck for the final 2 rounds of the season.
Likewise, thanks so much, guys, for the broadcast and the race.
Michael Velasquez, another really good result. That's a second race win in the amateurs this season, and it promotes him up to 4th in the championship. Actually, maybe even ahead of Steve Clays. Might be up to 3rd now, but still with some catching up to get to Greaveson and Sequeira. Well, I think that is pretty much it for us then tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you've enjoyed the wet weather. We'll see if we get any more of it before the end of the season. I doubt we will, but it's good that we got a little bit of it at least tonight in the championship for the first ever time. Of course, if you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it, and also subscribe to Apex Racing TV so you can catch all our other broadcasts. We've got Radicals on Friday. We have got the Ricmotech World Series next Monday as well, because we've got the return of this series. We've got GT3 Trophy coming up, and many other series happening on Apex Racing TV. So check out our social medias as well over on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and yeah, do the same as well for Apex Racing Academy and Apex Racing TV as well. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Aaron Smith and from Joshua Wilkie, we will say goodbye, and we'll see you back in a week's time at Hungaroring. See you then.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.